What's good with it, YouTube? It's your boy Rojo with the Convict's Perspective, man. If you would hit that like. If you're not subscribed, man, go ahead and subscribe, man. We get on here a lot to bring y'all some good content, man. Today we're going to talk about a legendary individual in the Bay Area and in the Northern Movement, period. Goes by the name of Mexican Mike, Michael Moniz, from 98th in Oakland. Good friend of mine, man, like family to me. And what I'm going to do, not only, RIP Mexican Mike, man, lost a good one with you, bro. And it's been a lot of years, bro, and it still just sucks. You know what I mean? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna discuss, personal, history with him. And I'm not gonna jump into all the he said, she said, the rumors, and all that kind of stuff because there's plenty, you know what I mean? And I know enough factual information to give you an idea of what kind of dude this dude was, right? So basically, my introduction to Mexican Mike was in 1997 in the Santa Rita jail, which is Alameda County, and I was in there on a quick little violation, man. I want to say it was for a DUI or something I had caught, and he was in there on a violation as well, and I was due to get out a little bit before him. So being an NF member at the time, I automatically assumed control of the household. And after talking to certain people of stature in there, I was able to determine that Mike was the one currently holding the keys at the time. Me and Mike were in the same little section, but just in different pods, so I was able to communicate with him through a door. And I started, I had the homeboys on that side have him come to the door and holler at me. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" Introduced himself. He told me he knew who I was and what I was, etc. And man, we started chopping it up, man, and he gave me the rundown how things were going and what he had going on and whatnot, as far as jailhouse stuff. Well, we talked every day, obviously. So over time, it started to appear to me that he was a really really cool dude, really down to earth, intelligent, you know what I mean, well spoken, you know what I mean, respectful. And he let me know how he was striving, you know what I mean, and he knew that I could assist him in that, man. So he's like, "Hey, when I get out, man, I'd like to hook up with you, man, and maybe we can work together on the streets." And I did a little bit of research on him with some people who were in there that knew him, like from Oakland and Hayward and Union City, Dakota, Alvarado, Fremont, all them little areas that frequent the Alameda County Jail, as well as at the time they were housing parole violators in Santa Rita. Santa Rita had a contract with the state because they were incarcerating so many people back then that the state told them that their numbers were capped. So they had to contract out with some of the county jails and whatnot to house parole violators. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, man, I didn't know the extent of what he had going on, and nor did I inquire too much into his business. People somewhat let me know that he was balling and whatnot, but the extent of it, I had no idea. Well, anyway, let's fast forward. I go to Quentin, and I end up getting out, and I'm out for a month or so, and he hits me up. He's like, "Hey, what's up, bro? Just seeing what you're doing." And I'm like, "Oh man, hold on, let me backtrack real quick." Well, while I was in Santa Rita too, man, he was like, "Hey man, if you need anything, let me know. Do you need some money on your books, whatnot?" And I'm like, "Nah, brother, I'm all right." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna send you something." Man, sure enough, the next day, bam, $500 on my books. Like, wow. Like, man, he don't even know me. We never laid eyes on each other at this point in time. We ended up, seeing each other in the hall because once the cops figured out what I was and who I was, they gave me a job right away. Like, keep the peace for us, we'll let you work, kind of thing. Well, anyway, so he just started touching me, man. A couple times a week, I'd get a few $100. I ended up going to Quentin with some cheese. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, I get to Quentin, I do my little violation. You know what I mean? Continue building my street regiment while I'm locked up with people who are that I trust. Mostly bros that were due to parole to the East Bay, North Bay, etc. Well, I get out. Mike calls me up like a couple weeks or a month later, something like that. I don't really remember, man. We're talking a long time ago. And he's like, "Man, is it cool to function or what, man? I'm down." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, no doubt." I was working at this time for a construction company, There was just, it was a small company, maybe like 5 people. You know what I mean? Doing legit. Parole was on me. Like I told you guys in previous videos, they had me under 24-hour surveillance. You know what I mean? And although I didn't realize it, I didn't realize the direct surveillance, but I knew I was hot. You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt about it. SSU would pop into the parole office when I was in there, and they're just not popping in. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't even really say nothing to me, but I started getting the feeling a little bit that they were there for me. You know what I mean? Because they're where I'm from. There's only been a couple NFs in history. You know what I mean? So I kind of figured based on who I was with, and they knew what I was. Because man, if I parole from next door to Tibbs in DC, and I'm a functioning person, I'm not PC'd up or nothing. They know what time it is. They know I'm probably going to go out there and do some things. So I'm being very, very, very discreet about what I do. I'm working a legit job, going home, not going out late, whatever, still handling my business, but through other people. You know what I mean? Other people would represent, my intentions and my wishes. So Mike gets at me, man. He's like, "Hey, I'm down to function, whatnot." And I'm like, "Well," we started talking. I'm like, "Well, what do you got to bring to the table, brother?" And he didn't go into his full arsenal of what he had available, but he let me know that he had access to whatever we needed, and he would give it to me at wholesale. You know what I mean? And when I say wholesale, I mean like elite level wholesale, like not a P or two, not 10, not 20, not 50. That's and I'm like that that caught my attention, obviously. You know what I mean? Because don't get me wrong, we were doing our little thing, and we already had a good number, but nothing like I was about to experience. So anyway, he's like, he asked me what I know about that white man stuff, and I'm like, not a lot, bro. You know what I mean? That was never really my thing. I was never really a hustler. I was into taking stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, well, I got all this and this and this, and I'm like, okay. I'll introduce some guys from my local regiment to you, and we can start working like that, man. But I'm gonna stay hands off for a minute because man, these people are sweating me. I had this dude named Mermelstein. He was a parole officer out of Concord, and man, he was on me, man. He would try to violate me after being out for like a month and say I absconded when, man, I reported the day I got out. I have no choice because they have to come pick me up. You know what I mean? And then I'd report on the day he told me. But like if he couldn't get a hold of me on the pager, you know what I'm saying, on the pager or the cell phone, he put out a warrant for me and say I was absconding, just straight up lie, and they'd find your boy guilty no matter what. Shut up. Sorry about the dog. Go inside. So I was like, man, I'm gonna really be chill for a while and see how this parole's playing out, man, because like they were on your boy. Well, so I'm working for this construction company, and I end up losing my job because they didn't have enough business, and I couldn't just sit around 3 days a week maybe and not work. You know what I mean? And things were getting bad. I find out my first kid, my girl's pregnant with my first, and I'm like, man, I got to do something to get these numbers right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to move out of the spot I'm in, secure a new spot, all the baby stuff. You know what I mean? Car seats, strollers, etc., etc., etc. So I hit Mike up one day. I'm like, hey, man, I'm ready to do a little bit of work. You know what I'm saying? Like on a personal level. And he's like, well, slide out here. I got something for you. So I slide out to San Leandro off of 135th and Doolittle to his mom's spot. And he throws me like a cue. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, what do I owe you? He's like, man, don't worry about it. This one's on the house. So bear in mind, I never really hustled before, but I live in a good place to hustle in Contra Costa County, right? It takes me about a week to move it. You know what I mean? Start building up personal people. I got other people out there working already, with that and some other things that you're not supposed to work with. And it takes me like a week, right? So I go back. I'm like, hey, I need some more. Throws me like, I don't even remember if it was another Q or a half thing. And man, it took me like 5 days. You know what I mean? I go back, I get a whole unit. It took me like 3 days. I go back, I get 3 units. It took me like 2 days. And then pretty soon, man, I was banging them out, bro, like 9, 10 a week. You know, me personally, you know what I mean? I ended up catching a little violation for like violating my 5B. They came over and man, I had alcohol and stuff. So I have to do 45 days for that. So when I get out, man, I have a chance to reevaluate. And you know, I stopped doing things again for myself, man. I just sent it out to the streets to have it work for me. You know what I'm saying? Bear with me. I gotta choose my words carefully. You know what I mean when I'm talking about this. So, man, I'm just me alone. Man, I was doing at least 10 a week. You know what I mean? Sometimes maybe a couple less. Sometimes maybe a couple more. Well, we had that going, man, and we started talking about things that we could do to legitimize. You know what I mean? Like he had already been the owner of a bar and some other ventures he had. But what we decided to go through, we contacted the company that I worked for formerly and asked them if they were willing to buy out the name and the license and keep doing business under their license with new employees and new management. So we reestablished that company and got it from like a 4-person crew to about a dozen and kept it busy generating income. We got into some washaterias and started running washaterias. Good income right there with the ability to adjust things as needed. You know what I mean? It's the same purpose with the bar. Um, we had a bunch of girls on the team, as many as 27 at one point. You know what I mean? Never less than probably 6 or 7. Um, and we were just killing it, bro. You know what I mean? Like he changed my whole lifestyle from rags to riches, basically. I was doing okay and I was living above my means, but that shot me into a whole nother dimension of income level just by that dude taking a mutual friendship had developed and trust. you know and pretty soon, man, we were together every day, every other day, chilling at the club, out there in Oakland, hanging out with the Tongans, at his mom's house, at his baby mama's house, at his baby mama's house family, at my baby mama's house, at my house. Just everything we did, we were just moving in unison. You know what I mean? So, time goes by, whatever, man, we're killing it, just crazy. And then I get introduced to the plug. You know what I mean? It's a dude with the nickname Chinese in it. Man, I started really being a part of like that whole process that they had going on was insane. You know what I mean? Like I've been in the house with 90 of them, you know, and several $100,000 in cash, man. And these fools would just bounce and leave me there. I'd be like, man, what if they've been following you and this place gets kicked in, man? I got to eat all this, you know what I'm saying? But that's the level of the trust that me and him developed, to leave me in one of the stash houses in the rich neighborhood with damn near 100 units and, man, probably anywhere between a quarter and a half in cash. You know what I'm saying? So I had a little small violation right when my kid ended up being born. Mexican Mike came through like a savage, bro. Him and his girl took my girl, took him shopping, got all the stuff that I didn't have a chance to go get. Like, bear in mind, she's big. We had the finances, man, but he was like, nah, bro, I'm going to take care of this. You know what I mean? And I don't expect nothing back because you're unable to, and I know you do the same for me. And, man, there was no doubt about that, man. He used to have this customized van, bro, and it would be me and Mike in the front, him driving, me smiling out the window like a retard. You know what I'm saying? And, maybe 3 or 4 big old Tongans in the back, what I mean, going to handle business. And we just established a lot of stuff, man. We were generating, man. We had some businesses, man. We were doing them organized events, you know what I mean? We had guys in the regiment that knew paisas, that played the paisa music, you know what I mean? We knew the rave scene, we knew DJs, we'd rent warehouses, you know what I mean? $20 to get in, you know what I mean? Plus all the substances our guys would have in there. Plus we'd have females in there, you know. And it's just, man, we'd have like one event a week for a while, bro, with the warehouse or an orchard or a ranch. You know what I mean? Some kind of party get together with monumental numbers. You know what I mean? Because all the people we had working with us, you start joining the NR and NF, you become well known, and people wanna be around you and please you. So it wasn't nothing, to have people want to come to our events because they knew who we were. You know what I mean? Him more so than me because he was a legend. I was fairly unknown, but people knew what I was. So I had that little thing going for me in my own right. But man, Mexican Mike was just a cool dude, man. Somebody just told me a story yesterday about how they had exchanged gunfire, you know what I mean, in the past, and it was still just a mutual respect because that's the kind of dude he was. You know what I mean? Like he'll give you the shirt off his back. You know what I mean? Like 100%. You talk about all these real homeboys and real dudes, man. This was a real dude. Period. Point blank. You know he made me really, really, really not only wealthy, but he made my job doing what I had to do way easier. You know what I mean? Because he kind of overtook the role of spokesman, which in his situation was kind of risky because he was already on the local, state, and DEA radar for sure. There's no doubt about it. And, he's still like, man, why don't you just kick back, tell me what you need done? I'll drive around and do it. And I had people to do it, but nobody that I trusted like the homeboy Mike. You know what I mean? So I was just like, man, if that's how you want to participate, bro, you're already doing way enough, man. We could groom somebody else to do this, man. But he's like, nah, I don't want to raise my hand for nobody and have them go do something and then, they fall and you fall and then, that puts it on me. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm not that type of dude, man. Each individual is responsible for their own actions, man. And I would never hold you accountable for the actions of another adult. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, I get it, but for peace of mind, I'd rather just handle it. In retrospect, man, he probably just wanted to, not only be the man as far as the substances, but he probably wanted to be like, hey, I'm a boss in another aspect as well. And that's fine. I get it. You know what I mean? There ain't nothing wrong with it. And he undertook the responsibility. And I can't think of a single situation where I ever had to correct anything he ever did, you know? I knew his mom, man. His mom was cool. I was always welcome at the mom's house. If I called, man, I was greeted with respect. You know what I mean? And there's just nothing that I can't say enough about what a cool, cool dude this dude was, man. And growing up in the hood, it's a rough place. I grew up in Detroit. I know. You know what I mean? You take your grimiest sections of Oakland or Richmond or whatever. I grew up in Detroit. It's the same, if not worse. So I can get the lifestyle he grew up in, and which ultimately led to his demise. You know what I mean? Like, keep in mind, man, Mike had been having back and forth with a lot of people for a lot of years and that's just based on the environment, man. It's just funk out there. It could pop off for anything. He got abducted one time and kept hostage for a second. You know what I mean? He grew up in a rough life, man. And I say this just to let you guys know that with all the struggles and trials and tribulations, he still had one hell of a character. You know what I mean? It didn't negatively impact his being as a man. He still had honor, respect. He was trustworthy. He wasn't shady or scandalous. He handled business when the time was to handle business. But other than that, bro, he was just, man, he's like my brother. You know what I mean? Like, I trust him with anything in the world. We had a lot of nights, man, with our families, me and him just chilling, whatever the case might be. And he never disappointed me. You know what I mean? And he opened up a lot of doors for me. You know what I mean? And I'm appreciative of that individual for my life, man. And I wish his life wouldn't have got cut so short. Would he have had more legal problems? Man, certainly. Unless the lifestyle totally changed. Could he be doing life? Without a doubt. Could we have legitimized quadruple what we did, and maybe not to have that as a something hanging over our heads. We were in the process of it. You know what I mean? When he was prematurely, cut down behind some irrelevant issues. You know what I mean? Just player hate. You know. But man, that's about it, man. I'm not gonna dive too much more into his economic accomplishments. Everybody knows what they were, and what I'm just gonna focus on is you couldn't have met a better dude, bro. You know what I'm saying? Man, he sent me some parole clothes one time and threw a little sparkly G string in them, bro. And, man, I was just weak. I know I turned red as hell. And Dancing Bear's like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was just funny and bro and cool and reliable. I'd call him at 3 a.m. I know he wouldn't want to answer the phone. He'd answer the phone and vice versa, But anyway, man, that's that East Oakland legend, Mexican Mike. Man, I love that dude, bro. Like he was my own brother. And, man, the good ones get taken too soon. You know what I mean? So plan every move accordingly, and watch your six. You know what I mean? Because you never know. Anyway, YouTube, much love and respect. Your boy Rojo. Please hit that like if you ain't subscribing. Subscribe. And I'll see you again real soon. Have a good day.